Greetings. Welcome to Speak Nerd and Enter.
Drew,
Yes,
have you seen Miss Marvel?
I have not.
I have.
I'm sorry.
And once again, that one snuck up on me. Like, I didn't realize it had come out. Some guys were talking at work, and we were talking about other shows, and somebody had mentioned Miss Marvel, and I was like, oh, did that come out? And he goes, yeah, I think it did. And then I came home that night and was like, oh, it did come out. So,
I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch. I will watch it, and I need to be fair about this because actually, when Ms. Marvel came out in the comic books, I think Willow Wilson wrote it, and I can't remember. I really can't remember the original artist on it, but I loved the original artist. It was very Mad Magazine, like, and I mean, like, if you've ever seen Mad Magazine, where there's a lot going on in the panels that aren't necessarily about the story. In the
Yeah.
background, there are
Yeah,
people with kids, pulling up, scratching their butts, and
yeah,
licking on
Groot
lollipops.
has a lot of art like that as well, which I think is some of the same artists.
Yeah, yeah.
Sergio Aragonés, yeah.
So that was the art style. And the storytelling, I mean, she was really their first Muslim character. But you know what? At the time when that book first came out, that was super secondary on the list of what this was about. It was all about this character, this girl, who has a strict upbringing, who loves heroes, wants to emulate them, and wishes she was a hero, and then she gets an opportunity. And the series originally was very good. And I mean, probably the first 12 issues, maybe a few more, I thought were great. And I was on board. I was like, I like it. Now, here we go. I'm out of their demographic, probably. Old white guy reading a book about a young girl who's a Muslim superhero. And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But then during the big change in Marvel, they went totally in gear to the Muslim thing and girl power and this real kind of all the negative aspects that you can imagine them pushing, doing the virtue signaling and all that crap. They turned that character that was really a lot of fun and interesting into kind of a jerk. And when they had her interact with all these other characters, some of them, individually, like they had a new Nova, who was an Hispanic kid. And he was actually, I read that book too, and I thought that was good. They put those two guys together along with like the Hulkling, which was awful, which was always awful. Which Amadeus Cho was actually a really cool character. He was a sidekick to the Hulk and then the Hercules, and he ends up getting Hulk powers, and it was in a real lame way. And then they turned that guy into a jerk when actually he was pretty neat. His only power was he was super smart, and he was able to figure up calculations and probabilities and things, which made him interesting. But then they ruined that character, and they put all these characters together, and they became in the group called the Champions, and they became horrible. So right away in my brain, Ms. Marvel has a negative connotation to me because it represents
I will
all
tell
the
you-
awful that Marvel turned to during that time period.
I will tell you this,
Okay.
and I'll be interested to see what you say about it. I was actually more interested to see how it played with Helena, and I'd be more interested to see how it plays with Sarah, to see, how they enjoy it. Mark, what did you think? Did you like it or no?
I did like it.
I
Well,
liked
that's
it
good.
too.
Well,
I
good.
liked
I
it
did
too.
not like it. I didn't go in expecting one way or the other. I had some concerns, and I still have those concerns of, is this going to be about a girl that wants to be a superhero and gets the opportunity and takes her shot, or is it going to be all about, her religion or
Right.
her she
See,
does
I
have the strict
didn't-
parents. I like the strict parents, though. And I
So
liked
do
her
I.
brother.
So do I.
And I liked, her sidekick best friend. And I liked that they went to Avenger Con and
Yeah.
whatnot, because I've been to a bunch of cons and I'm familiar with, kind of the cosplay and I know people that do that and whatnot. So, I enjoyed kind of everything.
I really
and-
liked the lady who was playing her mom.
Yeah.
I liked her a lot, and the dad too. I liked them too. Family
And-
dynamic. I had no issues with that. I
And the
thought
way
it was
they
really
were
good.
running errands for her brother's
Yeah.
wedding, and she's listening to all the aunties gossip and stuff like that, kind of set that stage for the community she's coming from. You know what
And
I'm
there's
saying?
also-
again,
there was a-
handled well, it could be great.
Yeah. It
I'm-
reminded me of kind of a Kim's Convenience kind of
Right.
situation.
My wife's been watching that. I don't watch that show, but
Yeah.
it's on every time I walk in the bedroom because she likes to like fall
And
asleep.
it reminds me of that. And that's the
Right.
thing is that, and I will tell you this, Helena liked it a lot. She really liked it a lot. And I asked her, I said, so you think this is pretty much for women, of not just little girls, but just women in general, something for them to really relate to? And she said, yeah. She said, yeah, I did. I like that a lot. And it reminded me of the way it's put together of Scott Pilgrim, but from
Yes, yeah, with the graffiti on the walls
right, right. Well,
and
just the
again and
frenetic kind
some
of
of the
style, and
cinematography of that because I'm into that kind of thing, filmmaking and the mechanics of it and whatnot. And there's a scene where she's at home and she kind of falls backwards onto her bed. And she's laying on her back and her head's like hanging off the bed and she turns on the TV, which
that was on the
from her,
couch.
yeah, on a couch. Yeah, that's true. She falls over the back of the couch and she's watching the TV and the TV's upside down. But I saw like the behind the scenes where they had the camera that is like following her as she flips over and whatnot. But again, it's well filmed. And I'll tell you the thing I probably like the most about it so far is I'm really sick of the reluctant hero trope. And then
Yeah.
it's, oh no, I have these powers. What a burden.
Yeah.
And here we have a character who's like, man, I just want to be like Captain Marvel. I love the Avengers. And like, she's into it. And this is going to be like if they do it right, they could bungle this or they could handle it well. Like I said, that's yet to be determined.
You
But
know
one of the
what?
things I
Hopeful to
loved
hear.
on the setup is they've given her this kind of power and she figures out like, oh my gosh, I have powers now. Don't tell anybody. And she had a mask on when they manifested, so nobody knows who she is. And I'm like, this could go very, very well. You
Well,
know
I'm
what I mean?
hopeful
And I
Now,
that
like
you
your
guys are
attitude
saying
about
that it's good because it's like I said, I saw that it was out and I'm like, I don't want to watch this right now. It's like because I'm honestly, you know how I feel about the Marvel stuff on Disney. I don't think
it.
it's
Right.
been none of them have
It
been really
hasn't been,
home
and again, that's
runs.
my concern. Is the
I
first episode? I won't say it was like great, awesome, amazing. It was fine. Like it was the setup and the introduction, and I get it.
Okay,
And I'm
cool,
on board. I'm on board. It wasn't
good.
bad. It didn't turn me off. It didn't hit me over the head with some kind of message. It's like, oh my gosh, come on, let's just tell a good story. We're introducing the character. We're introducing how she gets her powers, and we're seeing kind of the life that she lives in. And now we've had this inciting incident of she gets a hold of this magic bracelet or whatever it is, and she's
Well,
got
that
the
was the thing
powers.
that's the thing I was gonna tell you, Drew. Couple things. First, I like the girl who's playing Kamala Khan. I can't remember her name, and I apologize for that. She's got really good charisma and
I'll say
plays
that.
that
Yeah.
part very
That's
well. I
important
like her.
because
I
this
like her
role is all
very
about
much.
that.
Well, she's got it. She's got it, and I
Well, that's
like
one thing they're
her.
saying about like Captain Marvel. The
Right.
actress who's playing that
Yeah,
is, and
Brie
again, that might not
Larson.
be the actress. It might, yeah, Brie Larson. It might
Yeah,
be how they're writing it as well. So I don't have a
I think it's the
particular opinion.
actress because
I
she's
think it's
never
her.
played.
I don't
I
have an
think that's her
opinion.
personality.
But again, it can also be the way it's written. She's not coming across as like the most approachable, uh, you know,
It could be. Who knows?
hero
It
that
could
you.
be.
But I'm not getting those vibes from this character or this
Yeah,
Good.
this
actress.
girl, this girl embraced. It seems like she's embraced the character. She's bringing that energy to it that you get with someone who's a girl of her age and that kind of thing, and that certain obliviousness that comes with it. But they're discovering their own humor and things like that as well, and then trying to deal with her mom and her dad, who are of course way. Her mom's way more conservative than
Yeah.
she is, and dealing with that. But her mom isn't a jerk. She
She's not
comes
evil,
across
right?
no, she
Yeah,
comes across like she really does love her, and you
Yeah,
can
she's just looking
see
out for her
right.
and what
And
is like considered like not respectful.
well, not
yeah,
only
yeah.
that, as and maybe this is because, of course, I got kid of my own, but I've raised Kyra. Is that you understand when you got a girl, it is different. You do look at it differently, and I understand that she wants to be this way, but you know how the world is, and you're trying to,
Protect people from
right,
that.
you're trying to protect them from that because the
Right.
world ain't nice,
Yeah, and there's
especially
actually a line in there. They're like, "No, we trust you. We just don't trust anyone else." And I was like,
right.
"Yeah, I get that line.
And
I
that's
understand that
and
completely."
so I dig the mom, I dig the dad, I liked her, even the friend, I liked them,
Is
the
her
whole
friend like
thing.
Eric? Isn't her friend Eric?
I can't
Isn't that
remember
his
his
name?
name.
Because in the book, I think his name is Eric. He
can't
works
remember.
at the convenience store, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing they did change, because I do know that she got her power from the same gas that the Inhumans did. They ate their own
Right.
beans, and now they're all now they're all magical. She didn't get her powers that way in the show. They changed that, so it's now this bracelet that she gets.
So she's not Inhuman.
No,
She's not an Inhuman.
Well, to
no.
be determined,
She
right? Because
gets.
again,
Well, that's true.
her brother's getting married.
Her grandmother,
Auntie and grandma, someone in India sent a package with some things in it for the wedding.
which had a funny line to it. Actually, I like
What was
that.
the line? I forget.
Where it was, what was the line? It was something about she wants to make sure that we get all of her crap before she dies, or something like that.
Okay.
Her mom said something like that. So there's this bangle in there that she takes because she kind of likes how it looks, and for this costume competition, she wanted to put something on there that was from her, culture back in Pakistan or whatever, or from where her parents are from.
I think it is Pakistan.
I think it is Pakistan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
and so that's where she finds the power. Now she may be an Inhuman, and that just triggers something. I don't know.
Right. Well,
But
like her mom knows something because she holds this up after opening the box and was like, "Oh, is this grandma's or whoever it was?" And mom immediately recognizes it. Was like, "Nope, put that away." And she's like, "Go hide this up in the the closet."
It reminded me of like finding a quantum band or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, there might be some family history that'll be revealed later. Blah blah blah. Like we don't know, but clearly,
I wish they
knows
would do that.
something.
Actually, if they're going to change something, I wish they would. Because the only reason why they made Ms. Marvel an Inhuman is because remember I was telling you guys episodes ago about how they had that disgruntled problem with the X-Men with Fox, and they're like, fine, if you're going to keep the movie rights, we're not going to produce any X-Men books. So then they pushed the Inhumans. So any new character they introduced, rather than being, oh, you're a mutant, they were, oh, you're an Inhuman, and now your genetic code is releasing this ability, when you're exposed to the Trigon gas, and who knows if this bracelet could be made of the crystal. There could be Trigon crystals in there that could actually.
Well, remember
actually
with
do
Legend of the Five Rings, they haven't really come out and said what where the rings have come from. Like in the bonus scene, they're like, "Oh, it's not this, and it's not that, and it's not the other." So there could be a tie in there with maybe they come from the same place, or maybe I just.
Dang, I was really hoping you had seen that, Drew. I wanted to see what your thought was on it.
Well, I'll definitely check it out. I have been watching so many
Too
things.
late. We're never going to come back and talk about this again.
I'm definitely going to check it out.
I'll tell you this. Do what I did when I watched it.
Be in the nude?
No.
With a jug of ice cream in front of me?
No, definitely don't do that. Don't forget.
Okay.
It's about a girl who's still in school.
Okay.
Yeah, don't want to go anywhere near that.
I'm just talking about the normal way you watch movies in the nude with a big jug of ice cream. This is great.
What you should do is watch Obi-Wan just beforehand. So maybe
then I'll know how good it is.
You'll love anything that comes on after that.
Absolutely. But I will tell you this, Helena and I were both saying, how can they have so much better writing and production value on Miss Marvel? And not to denigrate that. I mean, it's a great show and everything. But if you're going to have all the assets and everything put into something, how can you put it into this and not?
Yeah, there's a lot more people. A lot more people that are ready to tune in to the Obi-Wan show
than Ms. Marvel.
Like Ms. Marvel's got a few things stacked against it. It's a lesser known Marvel property.
Yeah. Like
when you think, superheroes, right? X-Men, Superman, Batman, Wolverine, Iron Man, Thor, Ms. Marvel. Huh? Where'd that one come from? But again, they made Ant-Man like a first tier superhero, and
the only problem with this storyline that kind of sucks a bit, which was kind of neat in the comic, was that Carol Danvers, who is of course Captain Marvel, was Miss Marvel before she was Captain Marvel, and what was interesting is this girl was a huge fan of her, so.
Was she the one who had her power taken away by
she did, by Rogue.
Okay.
Yes, okay. And she was a normie for a while, and then
not Kamala. I mean,
right. You mean Carol Danvers?
Right. Yeah,
and that was before she was Captain Marvel, and then she became a binary which was this flaming space goddess, and then they put her back into being Miss Marvel. And then for a while with the Avengers, she was Warbird, and she had to develop an alcohol problem like Tony Stark, and he ironically kind of helped her in, even though in the comics later on she kills him, which is really weird and never got in trouble for it, but we won't go into that. Breathe,
like
breathe. So anyhow,
Yes.
then she from there she became Captain Marvel and took over Marvel's mantle as Captain Marvel, and who actually no, she really took it from Monica Rambeau, who we have seen in the Vision Scarlet Witch crap. She actually was Captain Marvel for a while, and she was a great Captain Marvel, and she had different abilities. She could turn into all kinds of form of light and radiation, and she was really a unique, cool character with the Avengers for a while. But then she just changed her name to like Photon, and then Warbird, of course, Miss Marvel, became Captain Marvel and took that mantle. And then she kind of officially passes it on to Kamala Khan, who's got those ambiguum powers, which are really weird, big hands and can expand.
It reminded me of
it's like Reed Richards and Hank Pym squished together, Giant Man and Mr. Fantastic squished
well,
together.
it kind of reminded me of like Green Lantern.
Yeah.
How he can.
But he does it with a ring.
Story, I know,
but you know what I mean.
Just hearing you tell that whole story is, in some ways, I'm glad that they can kind of shake the Etch a Sketch and start over in the movies and the shows. They can be like, because comics are basically a nerdy telenovela.
A tapestry.
Like everyone does everything, and they get
It's
new
a
powers, and they
freaking
die,
tapestry
and
of, and some of those things are like, wow, what a great story. And then you get a certain point, you're like, oh my God, that's an awful story, And I mean, that's
and
how
sometimes in the
Marvel
same arc.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's very confusing, when they play ping pong. Carol Danvers' character, they've played ping pong with that poor character, right, left, and center, to the point where, she's most comfortably known as Miss Marvel from the very beginning, but I mean, because they already had Captain Marvel at the time. He had his own comic, and then she became Miss Marvel because she kind of got her powers from him. But we find out really through the comics that she's half Kree. Yeah. She found out that her mother was actually Kree, which makes
to make my point.
Which makes more sense. But that's actually a rewrite that makes more sense for her character.
That does sound like a telenovela, doesn't it?
Right, doesn't it? And again,
does.
remember,
and I'm here to tell you all.
Psylocke, but she started out as a British woman.
She did.
And now
actually
ended up as like this Asian psychic assassin.
Yeah, well, she got her brain smushed in with Quan, the woman that was an assassin and became Psylocke. Yeah, she was actually. See, we're really getting off track. That was Captain Britain's sister.
Well, listen.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about this though. I wanted to ask you about before, because if we go down the rabbit hole it's just going to continue back until we finally get to Shazam and
the legal case between Marvel and DC over Captain Marvel and the Big Red Cheese.
Exactly.
Billy Batson and
that's exactly right.
All right, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I wanted to ask you because I know you've seen the Thor trailers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about Gore the God Killer.
He's cool.
Okay. I was wondering, because what I have heard is that he gets pissed off because his family wasn't helped. He prayed or something, and the gods that were supposed to help him were sitting there fighting each other and didn't help him or something.
Buddy.
Yeah, welcome to everyone else in the universe's world.
So he picks up the blade and all this stuff from the loser. Is that right? The loser of that fight, and decides, all right, I'm going to go all God of War on everybody and start
kills all the gods,
killing them. Is that pretty much it?
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. And he kills all kinds of gods, and then he ends up coming to, or Thor, comes across it. I'm sure in this thing he'll just show up and like, gross. Hey, I'm here to I'm here to kill gods. I mean, this fills me with trepidation because number one, I don't like, lesbian Valkyrie. I'm really not a fan of that. Number one, I don't really care for that actress. But number two, I don't like what they did with Valkyrie. And I think, hey, Valkyrie is a big blonde Amazon. You know,
Yeah.
she will always be that way. Sorry, everybody. Talk about, stealing someone's culture. That's just ridiculous. I don't like that character. I found that insulting and stupid. But that's being said, I don't necessarily mind the female Thor storyline. I mean, I still say she is not Thor. Thor is a person, a god, not
Yeah,
a
she's
thing.
using the power of
Using the
hammer,
power
or-
of Thor
Yeah, which
is
was-
totally. I'm cool with that. And
Yeah.
that was my biggest beef with Marvel was like, oh no, she's Thor. It's like, no. She has Thor's powers. Thor is like, just like you can't be Drew or you can't be Mark. I mean, you can't have our amazing abilities. You can
If I
borrow
take-
them.
If I take your hearts and eat them and make you part of me,
You're a part of me now.
and one day,
Magua says, I will take the gray hair and cut out his heart and eat it in front of his children.
in front of his daughter. That's right. Tell Sarah that day is coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. She were fans of Magua, Sarah and I. Like, I showed her that movie and she was like, whoa, Magua's like amazing.
He's
So
the
anyhow,
hero of that story.
Yeah,
You know
to
who
me,
the
he is the hero
you know
of
who
that
the
story.
hero of that story was the father, the old man, the old.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was badass, and that
Oh,
crazy
man.
weapon, that crazy
Yeah.
ass weapon he has. Oh,
Mark
now,
has
we're
one of
we're
those.
totally
I think
off
it's in
the
your
rails.
house. I'd like to have that.
We are off the
I'd take it.
rails now.
Anytime you talk about Michael Mann and the brilliant movies he puts together, I'm okay with going off the rails with that. But
All right.
as a matter of
Except for
fact,
Black Hat, that movie was awful.
I didn't see Black Hat, so we won't talk
Oh, it
about
was
it.
terrible.
All right,
So-
so yes, so yeah, I'm down with Jane Foster as Thor, with his powers, and the thing
And the
I like,
powers were given her cancer or something, right?
no, she got breast cancer, and
She a smoker or something? Or?
no, she just you can get breast
He's
cancer
been
without being
hanging
a
around with all
smoker,
these
you
cosmic
knucklehead.
beings.
Really?
And I'm sure that
Yeah,
causes
so
cancer.
anyhow, she ends up. It was during, I don't know how they're
I
going
thought
to
the
do.
joke was she was smoking and got breast cancer. I thought that was
No.
the joke. So
They're gonna have to do like a whole. They're gonna have to do a whole different rewrite to this because essentially, Thor is whispered to by Nick Fury. He's whispered something, and then he can't lift the hammer anymore. And that was just lame. It was a lame thing to do in the comics. But anyhow, they're gonna have to write something better, which I'm sure they can, because anything's better than that. Where he becomes unworthy. So hopefully they can rewrite something better than that. The thing I liked is on the preview, they showed when they're going to face the enemy, they showed her grab Thor's hand and they're holding hands, walking to the battle. And I was like, okay, thank you. They're friends and they were lovers and they still feel there's a connection there with each other. And I thought, the thing they missed in the comic, it always felt like, once again, they uplifted Jane and to make Thor like a total loser. And I hated that. And there was never any connection there between the two characters. Like there was no love. They missed the boat. And to this, just in that preview, I was like, oh wow, that shows like she's not like, I'm gonna be a better Thor.
I'm wondering, I'm
like,
just thinking
what?
out loud here, if because we're doing this in the movies, or for that matter, the TV shows, and we have actors involved, right? Like Chris Hemsworth and whatnot. I'll give you an example. In the Ultimates comic, I remember that scene where they need the Hulk, and they literally, everybody treats Bruce Banner like he's, this kind of jerk or whatever. And they literally push him out of a helicopter because they need the Hulk. And there was like
Right.
shades of that when Black Widow pushed him over that ledge in Sokovia or whatever.
Mhm.
But again, they treated him like awful, and he was terrible. Everybody was like picking on him, and then when he became the Hulk, he was like trying to get some revenge or whatever. Same thing like you're talking about, where it's like, let's raise up Jane and push down. That's harder to do when you're raising up this actress and pushing down this actor who's got to do 4 more movies for you.
Right.
well, not only
So I'm
that,
But they
wondering
do
if
it with-
there's some consideration of, or would Chris Hemsworth and his agents allow him to be like, put through the ringer?
Well, not
Ewan
only that,
McGregor
don't
lets him
forget-
do it.
in the comic book.
well, don't
You know what I mean? In
forget-
the comic book, it's like, forget it. We're gonna write it this way, and you're not hurting anybody's feelings.
See,
or
with-
like a big actor's feeling. You know
But
what I'm saying?
I get what
with
you're
Chris
saying, yeah.
Hemsworth, he also has a very vibrant and very big and very active fan base right now.
And he's super charismatic, man. I mean,
super charismatic.
Yeah, like we all
And
love
he
him.
has-
That's what I'm getting. Like he's a
and
great
the other
Thor.
the thing I love about him, he has no problem with poking fun at himself and
Exactly.
having fun with it. Fat Thor, I thought was amazing. I love Fat Thor. I loved regular Thor. I loved him when he got the chance with Taika Waititi to do Ragnarok and all of that. Loved that. Loved that.
yeah.
And so I think there's a certain amount of, we can't do that to him. We got to do something respectful for him, and I'm cool with that. I don't mind having that stuff. So Gore the God Killer, good character then, you'd say?
Yeah, I think he's an excellent choice.
The only reason I ask is because I know, or I've heard, the sword he picks up is supposed to be from the god that made Venom. Is that right? The Dark or the Night or whatever it's called.
You mean I don't think it is. I don't think.
I thought I read or heard that it was supposed to be made by him. And I
didn't think, I don't think it's a
remember what he's
Clintarn sword, because that's the Clintarn are the basically the aliens of that Venom comes from.
Yeah, and there was a god that made them, and I can't remember
Yeah,
his name.
the oh my gosh, and
The
I've been reading
Night
it too.
or the
The black. I can't remember. It's not even complicated.
No, it's not. It's like a
It's
simple
something
name.
simple.
But that's what
But I
I
don't
heard
think
was
so.
that the sword was made by him or something.
I mean, I could be wrong. I forget things all the time, but I don't think that's true.
So is the sword what lets him kill gods?
Yeah, that's what gives him,
That's
at least in the
amazing
comics, that's
sword.
what I heard, is that gives him his powers. Because without that, he's just like some regular Star Trek level alien guy who's not really anything to write home
and again,
about.
that's the thing that I am liking. That, like, I get it. We have this huge history that's going back, 30, 40, 50 years in comics. That, for the movies and the shows, they're going to be like, let's simplify. Let's we don't have to stick to all of this, all of this history. I think they're doing a good job across all the movies we've seen so far of sticking with the right themes. And
I think it's the Black King.
The Black
It
King.
might be
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I think it's the Black King. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like something simple. It's like I think it's the Black King. Yeah. But I don't think.
But
I don't
like
think so.
simplifying and just keeping it. That's what the whole Ultimates line was about, right? The Ultimate
Right.
X-Men, Ultimate was like, there's so much history. How do people jump in as a new reader without going back 30 years of back issues or whatever?
And now look
they
at
were
the
like,
Ultimates.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
How long does that take? Just put some nerds in there. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the other thing that's, I'm also excited that you're going to definitely see, because you got to see like Zeus and guys like that.
Well,
You're
that's the other thing I was going to ask you about. Well, that was
which
the
is
other
cool.
thing I was going to ask you about was, how do you feel about Russell Crowe's Zeus? And
I didn't even know it was Russell Crowe. I didn't. I just saw one preview one time.
Yeah.
And I tried not to watch a lot of stuff before a big
It's
movie.
fat Russell Crowe in a
toga.
a cuirass that's.
I'm
He's
interested-
got that. No, he's got that cuirass on that has like the molded in.
I'm more
bits.
interested to see Hercules.
Oh, right.
I want to
Well,
see.
sure. But the thing I was going to ask you about was, in the Marvel mythos, is Zeus really that powerful? Is he like Odin level?
Yeah, he's powerful.
Who's stronger, Odin or him?
Tune in next week to find out.
You're the expert, man.
Probably.
Who else am I going to ask?
Probably Odin, I would say.
Odin is.
I would say Odin, but I'm more
Okay.
Norwegian than I am Greek. So if
Well, no,
Greek,
I actually hope it's Odin. 'Cause Zeus is. I've never liked Zeus. Zeus is a jerk.
he
Zeus
is a jerk, but so is Odin. Odin's a total jerk too. They're all jerks
Odin
when you're a
was
god.
Redeemed. Odin was redeemed because, of course, he was played by Hannibal Lecter. So,
Yes,
You make a
okay.
valid point. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, anyhow,
Who's not
I
gonna
look
like
forward to
him?
that. I look forward to that. Here's the thing: I don't want to see a lot about the Valkyrie. I don't like, because it's not Valkyrie. Unless they show some of the other Valkyries, which might be interesting.
Well,
I
how'd you
just,
feel about Heimdall?
I don't mind.
Because I liked him.
I don't mind that, but here's the problem. When you pick, for one thing, I think they wasted what's his name, the actor,
Idris
Idris
Elba?
Elba. Yeah, they wasted him on that character. in the
Well, I
Marvel
agree with
universe.
that. I
They
agree
could
with
have
that.
had him in a much better character.
Yeah,
They
much
should have
better.
just made Heimdall a big bearded white guy.
You know
because
who-
that no wait because Sif is his freaking sister, and it's just
Yeah.
weird to have Heimdall, this black dude. And then if they should have done one or the other. They should have either made Sif black and Heimdall black, or they should have made them both white. It just seems weird to me, And I know I'm talking about someone who's adopted a daughter who's Asian, but I mean it's like you don't think about that stuff in Norse mythos.
Well,
Okay,
but they can write around that because, of
dumb.
course, I mean,
and they
can write
wasted
around
that actor. He's a
Well, they
great
did.
actor, and he looks awesome,
Yeah.
and he could have
He
been
is.
so many other cool
And he
characters.
has
Right. I want to
such
see him play
great-
Bishop.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
don't-
he could have been really
I don't
cool
like,
as Bishop.
I don't like Bishop.
I don't either, but
I
he
want
would have
him
made
to-
Bishop cool.
I want him doing somebody good because Idris Elba, he's got acting chops and he's got charisma and looks.
He's on the
That's-
screen.
And Bishop is amazing, and you're wrong.
When you put him on the screen, he looks incredible. I mean, yeah, I'm with you, Sean.
That's who I wanted to be Rom Space Knight. Would have been him. He'd have been great.
And then what's the point of
What
you
a
just gonna
waste.
cover him up in a stupid
Oh,
robe?
he's so funny.
It's a joke.
Might as well have
like-
James Earl Jones play him.
Although he could have been, well, that would have hidden him too. But I was thinking, well, what about like Silver Surfer or something? But no, there's so many other characters that you could have him play that I think would be more his level.
Oh yeah,
know?
it was not a good choice for
No,
for
it really
his
was a waste.
ability.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
No, I
mean,
agree. I agree.
It was a total waste. They should have just picked some random giant white dude with the beard and made him Heimdall. And because the character's not even honestly that important in the
No.
storyline. He watches, he guards the Rainbow Bridge. Now in the comics, his sister Sif, because he died in the comics, is now watching the bridge, the Rainbow Bridge, which also is like a waste of a character, but whatever. She has the sight now. But yeah, my point being, like, as
I was
long
just
as
thinking about Obi-Wan breaking into Asgard, getting past all of them because they don't have any cameras. They just got her watching the door.
first he'd have to have someone that
Living
crosses
under
the
the bridge
bridge
with his
and like
rebreather.
communicates to him. Oh,
Yeah.
please let's not talk about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I know. It keeps coming up.
It's bringing me down, man.
So
Yeah.
one of the other trailers that is there was that one, and I wanted to ask you about Gore the God Killer because I didn't know much about him. And
Yeah, he's cool.
I was hoping it was cool, and Christian Bale I think is a great actor. And I saw his character, and I thought, well, that looks all right. That looks
I'm not
pretty
so
cool.
sure about the makeup and kind of the look of the character, but I'll see what they do. Yeah,
He
you know
does
what I mean.
sound like Christian Bale.
He is a
regardless,
scary
so.
character. I will tell you in the
Okay.
comics, he is definitely, scary.
Okay.
You
Okay,
know,
like I say, Marvel's done right by me for 20 plus movies. I'm looking forward to Thor: Love and Thunder. Again, I tend to trust them and go, you come up with your character design, you come up with your scripts, and you move. Like, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna do my part, which is here's my money. I'm gonna go see your movie.
It's
I don't
gonna
want
be-
to. I don't nitpick ahead of time.
it's going to
They
be
should have got somebody
interesting.
else to play that. Let them do their thing.
It's going to be interesting to see with Gore the God Killer, because I mean, in the name it implies his power level, right? With him, who's the next big bad going to be? Because if you have a dude who's able to kill Odin or Zeus or any of those,
Hold that thought.
I think Drew's gonna go get the cover of the issue that will tell us.
he's going into the archives. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, Mark, you
Yeah.
and him, once we're done with this, is about the Predator trailer. If you
I
saw
haven't seen that trailer yet.
Okay,
I know it came out. I haven't seen it.
I have the next big bad that he will fight Thor. This would be
Let's see it.
awesome.
Let's see it. Backer. Who's
Who's
that?
that?
It looks
Macog.
like that dude. That's
Mancog.
co-host.
Macabre.
It looks like the dude who's the co-host on the Space Ghost.
Listen to me. I'm telling you guys right now. I'm the worst thing Thor's ever faced. You hear me? I mean, the dude is a whole race of people, which is just, he's
How does
terrifying.
that even work?
He is scary, dude. I mean, this thing is like unstoppable. He is the best next villain for
It's like a low
Thor.
rent dark side. Come on.
Well, I'm thinking about not just for Thor. I'm thinking about the overall, like the next big bad, who's going to be the overarching concern
They
villain
don't have.
for
I
all
don't
of
think
them.
they need to do that every time now.
You don't think they're going to do that
I
again?
don't
Because I
think
think
they.
that's what everybody's expecting.
I don't think they should. I mean,
Everybody wants
maybe
to see the
Galactus.
crossover.
Maybe Galactus would be cool. Thor's had
I can
his
see
run-ins with
Galactus.
Galactus.
What about
I
like a
mean,
Beyonder or something like that? Do the whole Secret Wars thing.
you know,
Beyond the '70s era,
Uh huh.
yeah, it's just, the
that
big
would be
lapels on
terrible.
it,
That would be
Yeah.
terrible. Beyonder would
the
be
disco
pretty
outfit, yeah.
horrible. But yeah, I think just looking around, I think he is definitely, because here's the thing with Galactus. Then you can have other heralds too. I mean,
Yeah.
and who's to say you can rewrite this if you want? You can have more than one herald. I mean,
But if they have,
just
if
because
they
we
have,
saw Silver Surfer first, I mean, look, he's got all those other heralds that
oh,
are
he does, yeah,
fun,
Terrax and all that,
and Fire Lord
yeah,
and
and
Gabriel.
And maybe we
Just
could make
Airbender
him
and
not a
all that
cloud this
stuff, or
time.
whatever his name, Air, what was his name, Air something, I forget, Airwalker or
Gabriel,
something,
he's Airwalker.
yeah, Airwalker, thank you,
Yeah, we could make him a little less on the
yeah, I
Earth
know.
religion side, which is just kind of dumb. He's a neat character, but the idea of that is just doesn't make any sense
If
when you
they
think
do
about it.
Galactus, though, I really hope. Again, this is another character that's very near and dear to me, the Galactus one. And he's like that Darth Vader character for me. When he shows up, you need to give him a certain amount of respect, just because he was like the first big villain they had in Marvel, you
Plus, they
know.
have all. He's got lots of heralds. He also has all those little Punisher guys that come out that are
Yeah,
just like they're all typical Kirby cool monsters that
they
come
are.
out, and they're like essentially like nanobites. You would imagine what nanobites would look like if fighting disease. If you looked at them real closely, you would
Yeah.
expect them to be these little rugged like
They
that would come
reminded
in
me
and
of, yeah, they like little nano juggernauts,
yeah,
is kind of what they remind me
yeah.
of, you
The
know?
poor thing, man, took the brunt of
I,
that.
I imagine them all with like New York accents.
No.
New York or Boston.
The docks, they all work down at the docks for the
Oh,
mob.
yeah. So yeah,
Um,
it should be cool. I mean, I'm definitely yeah, I'm looking forward to the Thor movie. I'm hoping they don't make me. Hope they don't make it cringy.
well, it's Taika Waititi, and he's got a good sense of humor, if
That's
nothing
true. That's
else.
true. Like
And
he's delivered. I've seen
But he could. I
like
don't want him to make
he
Thor just a
could.
giant joke.
Well, he
It's going
could,
down
but
that
I don't
road
think he
where Thor
will.
is becoming a giant joke, and I
I
don't
don't
want
know.
that.
He gave him a good bit of respect in Ragnarok. He really did. He had him go through his character's arc, and then had him come in with the
Yeah,
badass
but
scene
he
at the
didn't really
end.
become like until the Avengers, an Endgame, like
Well,
when
no, the
he like
scene with him on the bridge when he came down with the
right.
lightning and beat up all the
Mhm.
zombies and all that stuff. I thought that was really cool.
I just don't want him to be a laughing stock, in the butt of all the jokes and all that crap.
right,
It's
right.
okay to have some humor in there, but if that's where we're going, count me out. Thor isn't a giant joke. Sorry, everybody.
I
It's like
prefer Thor with a good bit of humor to him. I do. Um, I think when it comes down to it, and in the
I say thee
Avengers
nay.
movies, I think, of course you do. In the Avengers, of course, he had a good bit of humor, but he also had a great.
I say thee nay.
That's
Ah!
that's broken, by the way. So,
No,
in
I can lift it. I'm pure of heart.
no, I said it's broken. I said it's broken. In Avengers,
Yeah,
he had a
that's not
great
screen
character
accurate.
arc. He had a great character arc with humor, where he was the only one in there that, as a matter of fact, Infinity War and Endgame were essentially about him, or about his, character arc in there. And I thought they gave him a great story in that. So I don't know. I got a lot of faith in it. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it'll be awful, but I am looking forward to that one.
It's gonna
You
be
gotta
amazing.
hope that it's good, and go in
It's
there
gonna
and hope
be
that it's
it's
good.
gonna be almost as good as Top Gun Maverick.
Oh
Did
boy.
before? By the way, I do want to get into the. I don't want to, but I'll ask you about it. Before we get into Maverick,
No, we don't have to.
I wanted to ask Drew. Did you see the Predator trailer?
I did.
Prey. You did.
I
Okay.
did.
What'd you think? Because I saw Mark didn't see it.
I haven't seen it yet.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like, oh, it came to Earth again, and it was
Well, it's been coming here.
before all that. He's always been coming to Earth. I mean, it's
Well, it's
like
they established that in the first movie, though.
Yeah,
I mean, why did we go to
know, it's
Africa
like-
to hunt big game there? You know what I mean? Like,
it's just
The lady established that in the first movie, and you're pissed about it? She
I
said
know.
it.
okay. So let me get this straight.
Right.
You know, there are tons of dudes with like, you know, modern day weapons and all that,
Yeah.
and they have a hard time with the Predator. You know, and now he's coming down here to the poor Native Americans, you know, hell bent for election, and they're going to somehow give him a run
See,
for his money.
This is how I actually brought it up to
Ugh.
Helena, is that I'm hoping this time the Predator can actually win, because I'm getting tired of him being treated like what's his face from Star Trek, the next Worf from the Next Generation, where he's just constantly getting beat up by, you know, Danny Glover and, you know, all. I was like, come on, man. You know, I mean, Arnold, the only reason he lived, I heard, was that they flipped a coin to decide who's, you know, whether he lives or dies. He should have died. That would have been great. He should have died. At the very least, give him radiation poisoning. He lives for a month and then he, you know, dies out a horrible death. I really want Predator to win. He should.
You're not going to get that.
win. I
You
know
know that, don't you?
I know.
I mean,
but,
why do you think I'm rolling my eyes? It's
know.
because it's going to be.
but do you
You know
agree?
what's going to happen.
Do you agree he should win?
I just said it.
Right? Right.
I just said it, and I already know the
Understood.
outcome.
I'm
You know,
just-
he's
hey,
gonna win, and I
I'm
mean, he
just hitting you with the
shouldn't.
lawyer thing.
I mean,
want your
he
statement on record.
he should win, but he's not going to win. You know, and because you know he already
that's what
fought all
subverts
these
our
guys.
expectations.
Well,
He
you
already
don't think he could let her go? You don't think at the end he'd be like, all right, you're a breeder. Go out there. You're
Catch and
strong.
release.
Just, yeah. Yeah.
No,
I could see
mean,
that.
it's like he's not going to win, guys. He's not going to win. So
I hope he does. I hope he
Nope.
does. I hope they have the thing that gives me. I like the cinematography.
I hope.
For it.
I said I wouldn't bring it up. I hope Obi-Wan's really awesome in the last two episodes. But I know that's not going to.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Did you like 10 Cloverfield Lane?
Yeah, I vaguely remember. I watched it once a long time ago.
I
liked it.
I love
liked
I
it.
love
liked
that
it.
movie.
And this is the guy who did 10 Cloverfield Lane.
But if you were to ask me details, I'd be like, I can't remember everything.
No, I've
No,
seen
it's
that a few
alright.
times, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah, it was
the
good.
dynamic there, the writing and everything. The ending was good. John
Yeah.
Goodman was a great.
The
character.
Predator is
great.
going to lose, though.
Yeah, and,
What's
and
that?
I thought Mary Elizabeth Winstead in that movie was amazing. She had that scene where she wakes up chained to the wall, you know, like got no pants on because her legs all messed up.
Yeah,
And she's like, and she mentally like freaks out for a second, and then like gets control of herself. Like, okay, that's not going to help me. And like there was no word spoken, there was nobody else in the scene, but like that cemented me as okay, she can act. You know what
now
I mean?
the only thing I didn't like about that was that it was triggering because that's exactly how Mark and I met.
It is. It is.
Well, you shouldn't be chaining Mark up like that. That's not right. You hit him with your car.
That's funny on another level because then why would it be triggering for me?
Right.
So
Because I
weird.
realized only too late who I had taken.
Totally.
What I was in for.
This has gone in total left field. I don't know where
Yeah.
this. I don't know where this is
How about
going.
that Maverick movie, huh?
So bizarre.
So, all right. Mark, did you want to...
Well, it's no fun if neither of you are interested.
No, you know, the only reason, and do we need to give a high sign or something for you for this or something? 'Cause, you
A
know.
safe word.
No, I'm saying something so that we can break this out to something as a separate episode for this part, you know.
Oh no! In fact, I'm going to copy this into all of the other episodes.
Yeah, you do that. The reason I will ask you about that is because Helena does want to see it, and it surprised me. And she said maybe we can go see that on it because it's getting such good reviews. And it's like,
I did watch a documentary about Val Kilmer. Val,
Yeah.
I watched that. That was great, and I love Val Kilmer. I think he's a great actor.
see-
And Seems like a
Val
cool
Kilmer,
dude.
I would do that.
And I
Val
heard
Kilmer,
they
I would.
really like actually did him right. That they had they actually, a matter of fact, I found out that Val Kilmer was so excited by the voice technology they used for him that he's contacted them. I mean, it might extend his acting career again. Because anyone that's been living under a rock, Val Kilmer had, like throat cancer, and it pretty much he can't speak. He has to, well, it's either between speaking or breathing, and he has to like put his finger on the thing to close it so he can actually speak, and it sounds, like that. And I mean, and his son actually did his voiceovers for his documentary. I mean, the guy's filmed so much information about his life. He always had a camera in his hands on every movie when he was younger, and they had so much material. He put together his story, and it's really good. It's on Amazon, and his son. His voice is so similar. Actually, did all the voice work. But you do get to hear Val talk for himself, and see what a struggle it is for the guy.
Man, what a shame, because man, that dude he is awesome. You know,
Yeah.
I love, I'd like to do a show one time about like Kurt Russell. I'd like to do a show about Val Kilmer because I think he's got enough stuff that, you could talk about with that.
Oh, yeah.
Gary
Kurt
Oldman.
But he's
Russell,
one,
man
he,
crush.
yeah, Kurt Russell's great. But I mean, right below him, I put Val Kilmer because he's done Top Secret, which was amazing. And he did, of course, Doc Holliday
Yeah.
and Tombstone with Kurt Russell.
Yep.
And he's just done so much stuff.
Well, also
Uh,
the other thing too is like there in his documentary you get the little like inside kind of scoops on some of the shows and all. And when he said when he was doing Tombstone in his death scene, he told them to put bags of ice under his bed, so he wanted to be uncomfortable as possible when he did his death scene.
that's
So
why he looks so cold.
he was laying on
Yeah.
he was laying on bags of ice when he says that, if you've ever cared
You
about
know,
me, you'll.
did you know they don't know where Doc Holliday is buried?
He's in my
He,
backyard.
yeah, yeah, you
No, he
wish.
is.
Yeah, you wish. It, when he died, they put him in a temporary burial plot because they were going to move him, I guess, and then they forgot where he was. The place where he was under construction. They were building a bunch of stuff and all that. And by the time they got back to it, they were like, I don't remember where we put him. So they don't know where Doc Holliday is actually buried. And I found that so sad for a guy whose life had gone the way it did, because he started out with, a really bad hand given to him and tried to make the best of it, and it kept getting worse and worse, and all that until finally he died. And then the last insult is, we'll just put you here, and then we'll take
We'll
care of
come
that
back
later.
and
Where do we put him? You see a bunch of squirrels over there chewing on something. But I felt bad for that character. Just what a bad way to go, and so loyal to his friend. And I remember when I went to Arizona. This was for one of the training counselor workshops, Mark, and the guy that was there, like being our liaison or host or whatever for
Yeah.
that. He was a lawman out there, and we were talking about Tombstone, and he did not like Doc Holliday. Apparently, a lot of people out there don't like him for some reason, at least where I was. And I told him, I said, I guess because he was a criminal, and I said, now the thing I like about him is that he was loyal. He was a good friend, to the end, and he didn't need to be. Here's a guy who's dying, got nothing, nothing to stay for. You could reason out why he wouldn't put in his last bit with anyone who's in that kind of situation. And yet he threw in everything he had with him, everything.
I got to
And
go to Tombstone. It was pretty cool.
yeah,
When I was a kid, I had an aunt and uncle that lived out in New Mexico, and we traveled all around the area. Went to Mexico and Arizona, and got to see Tombstone, and got to see that they have statues, where they're showing like the gunfight. They also had actors that would do like the gunfight
yeah.
and all that. You got
Like
to go
the
inside the tavern and everything. That was really cool. All
was
like
it like the
that stuff.
National Lampoon's Vacation thing? You go out there?
This is through the eyes of a 12-year-old boy, so I was like all
You were
in.
there for it.
I was
Yeah.
like, I was really into cowboys at the time, and this is like holy crap, this was
Do you
just
know?
the best. And I was riding horses because they
Oh
had,
wow.
my aunt and uncle had a horse farm. I'm getting on horses. I'm riding out in the desert because they were in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico. And he's like, oh, you should check over here. There's probably Indian pottery. And I go in there. It's like, oh my God, there it is. There's broken pottery, some painted. You didn't find any whole pieces, but you could just find tons and tons of this stuff that's like, holy cow. It's just totally
Yeah.
crazy. There were nail spikes, like railroad spikes, and they used to have the dates printed on them. You could find those.
My dad got
It's
me one
totally
of those.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
I've got a
dad got me
couple of
one
those and a bottle that I still have it somewhere around here. I think it's over there. That they used to find. All my cousins would go out and find bottles, and I got to see a sandstorm there, and periodically these storms just bring this stuff up, and it's like an old bottle because it doesn't have the mold line around the lip,
Right, right.
and it's so cool, and the
Did you
glass is
find?
so much
Did you find?
thicker.
Did you find Obi-Wan's lightsaber? Did it bring that up?
No, but
Bring
I did find his courage.
yeah.
It's-
Brought it
It's
up.
buried
after
like
the
6 inches below the sand.
yeah.
No,
6
there
inches. It was really easy to find.
There was a guy who wrote an article about Doc Holliday, and he brought up something that I hadn't thought about before. This was another aspect to it that I thought was amazing. Was that he was disabled. I don't know if he's still around or whatever, but he was an adaptive person, and he said that he loved the Doc Holliday character because as someone who's disabled, he never had someone who was a representation of someone like him, who would be able to do. It was all you had to be an able-bodied cowboy or that sort of thing to go out and do that stuff. Yet here was a guy who had tuberculosis, continually, just wasting away, and yet he was the most feared man of his time. The most feared. Everybody knew him. Everybody, you weren't going to mess with him, and yet he's at death's door.
Well, you didn't want to get tuberculosis. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, but he brought that up, and I thought that was a great observation. That here's this guy he could connect with because he was disabled now. He was limited for far more than anybody else that he went up against, and yet everybody else was afraid of him. And I just thought that was a great observation. I hadn't thought of it before I read that article. So yeah, it just made me like Doc Holliday even more.
yeah, it definitely, and of course, Tombstone is like got to be up there with my favorite movies. I mean,
yeah.
oh my gosh,
Because
what a great
of him.
movie. Because of him,
Right,
but
that was
also
his
Kurt Russell was
best role
great.
ever. Kurt
He
Russell was
looked
great.
so much like the photos. I mean, it's like crazy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing how somebody like could grow a mustache, have a certain attitude, and he can totally, in the right clothes, and he can totally look like the guy.
But
Yeah.
This is crazy.
you got to admit, whenever sweaty Val Kilmer showed up on screen, even when he was like sitting back getting that shave, and then gets up and goes over to Johnny, oh, that's just my game. I'm your Huckleberry,
Yeah.
and
It's
and the
pretty
fact
amazing.
and the fact that they reportedly he actually said those things. I mean, it makes it even cooler. It's you're Daisy if you do. Here's a dude getting ready to shoot him. He's like, you're Daisy if you do. And then telling Johnny Ringo, I'm your Huckleberry. That's just my game. And it actually did that stuff. It just makes it so much cooler, So anyway, all right.
Unless,
so,
of course, it was like an Unforgiven, and the writer was just making stuff up.
well, it could have been. It could have been, but from what I understand,
Duck, I says.
But from what I understand, and there are a lot of people who will argue one side or the other on like his skills or abilities and all that stuff, because you always end up with haters and
Yeah.
other people who are fanboys and all. But that is the one thing that I've noticed nobody actually argues with. Everybody, whether you liked him or hated him, they all say, yeah, he actually said that. There was a lot of people around who said, yeah, that's what he said. So, I just find that pretty cool. I just find that cool. So now that we've talked about that,
We don't have to talk about Maverick now.
What?
Let's-
No! I
let's
waited
jump
so
into
patiently.
Maverick.
Did you see how I completely just turned this whole conversation around
You did,
about
you
Val
did.
Kilmer and then Tombstone, and now we're done.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. This is the
Tune
end of
in,
the show.
everybody. This is so good.
All 10 of our listeners, we really appreciate you taking the time.
So what do you think, Mark? Go ahead.
It was good. That's all I have to say about that.
Let me guess, there were planes?
There were some planes, and there were some people that fly the planes, and they were very cocky and badass. And then they blew up the bad guys and went home to celebrate. It was America. Yeah.
Not on my watch.
Were there two of them that were taped to the front of a camera and they flew into a hangar?
That's right. They flew in a hangar.
And then somehow stopped at the end and like hovered
No,
there
like,
shooting
okay,
at
but
them?
for real, it was a well done movie. Now you have to suspend a little bit of disbelief because we're
You're
gonna
kidding.
blow up this. we're gonna blow up this nuclear enrichment facility before it gets this uranium delivered. You know, like we got to do that. We can't let the bad guys have uranium enrichment facilities. But it's deep in this valley, and so the only way in is to fly up and over the lip and down and blow it up, and then you have to like pull up real steep to get back out. And I'm like, we have like B-2 stealth bombers that can take off from Kansas, fly all the way around the world, drop anything we want on any specific point in the world until it no longer exists, and then fly home. But forget all that. We need pilots, right?
No, I expect you to die, Mr. Bond.
Yeah. So they bring Maverick over back to Top Gun to like coach and train the pilots they're going to send on this uniquely dangerous mission because he's the last remaining like U.S. pilot who's been in air-to-air combat and done certain things that matter.
Is he on a beach somewhere and they come up and say you're the only
No,
one?
no, actually,
computer pulls your name out.
No, he's in a big mansion when they call him, and he's wearing a mask and he's got a robe on, and they're like all these naked women around, and they're like, "Oh, sir," it's they whisper to him, and then he takes the mask off, and then he goes.
I picture him in this movie. He's got to be like salt of the earth at this point. Just he's seen too much, and he just wants nothing to do with the world anymore. And then they show up in the helicopter and come out to him and say, "We need you again, Maverick. We've got to have you back."
I like the eyes wide shut idea.
Yeah, no, close.
I like. Yeah,
he's actually flying like the newest version. It looks like an SR-71, but newer. So he's a test pilot. Doing test pilot stuff, for Skunk Works or whatever. And then they do call him back to like, oh, we've got this mission and you got to train all these, pilots.
And he's
reluctant. Of course, all the pilots are like, we're the best in the world. Who are they going to get to teach us? And then in comes Maverick, and spoiler, one of the pilots is Goose's son. Yeah.
See, I didn't even need you to tell me.
You didn't even need to. Oh, and one of them is a woman. She's a lady pilot.
Because you got to check that box.
You got to have the ladies.
Got to check that box.
Who knows? There might be something for the ladies.
What makes me sad is there's more respect for the canon of Top Gun than there is for Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But like, seriously, it was a good time. It was a good movie. Like I say, if you've been living under a rock, the planes were actually flying in the air. They didn't do a bunch of the stuff with CGI, so they actually, had real pilots pulling real G's and whatnot.
That's something you can't see.
It was fun. Yeah, that's true.
I have one thing to say about that.
And there's some definite spoiler warnings for the end. So they go on the big mission, they succeed, and both Maverick and Goose's son get shot down.
Oh my gosh.
And they connect on the ground, and they're like, we got to get out of here. And they steal an F-15 from the bad guys because they had some old F-15s. So we actually get him in the original planes from the original Top Gun movie, or the style of plane.
They have some old F-15s because we had those just laying around.
They got sold on the used market.
I thought they were gonna I thought the planes were gonna combine and form like the ultimate fighter.
Big plane.
Yeah, and then they would pilot.
It was an interesting way to kind of like go back and introduce the older planes, and like when Goose's son gets in the bag, he's like, this thing is so old, and they're making fun of the plane that was so badass back in 1986.
Oh my God.
I have one thing to say, Mark. Okay, this is it. This is what I have to say to you.
What do you have to say?
Your thirst has been quenched.
Well, and then they escape in the thing, and
I'm glad you liked it, and it does sound like they did more fan service than Star Wars.
Immensely. There was
Yeah.
fan service. There was,
And that's
it
great
was a
because
good
that's
time.
all people want to
There
see
was a beach
anyhow.
volleyball scene, but he was
Of
building
course.
team cohesion because the dude John Hamm is in it, and he plays like
course. Yep.
the guy that's running the Top Gun school, and he's a big jerk, and he doesn't want to do anything, and he shows up, and like no one's in the classroom, and he goes out to the flight deck, and all the planes are sitting there, and he's like, "Where's everybody at?" And then we cut to them playing. Like, so it wasn't football, actually. It wasn't volleyball. They were playing like football on the beach and whatnot. And
They're playing shuffleboard.
Shuffleboard, right? And he like shows up and
Badminton.
says something. And then,
That would be funnier. Shuffleboard would have been hilarious.
it would have been hilarious. But it was a team building exercise because only a team can pull this kind of mission off.
When you're with us, you're part of a team. Team. He wasn't walking around the table with like a bat.
Oh man!
Man steps up to the plate.
When Helena told me she wanted to see that, my heart sank. I'll be honest.
And I'm telling you, Helena's gonna love this movie. It was
Great.
It was a good time. It was a good time.
Great.
I also have another question. Is there
What?
Kenny Loggins music in it?
Yeah. Oh God, yes. It's all over the place. They're
right.
really going back to the well. You know.
All right.
Now, one of the things I didn't like about the movie is Maverick is at this point, he's been in the Navy like 30 years and he's still a captain.
He's been in there 600 years, been catapulted to the rank of corporal.
And he's working with
30-year loser.
And he's working with all Top Gun like graduates. So these are all like the best of the best pilots who've been chosen.
By the way, I know that's not a rank in the Navy. That was a joke about a movie that Mark knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And at some point, like they're doing a thing, and he's like, "Oh, we got to do this, so they can't do that." And I'm like, "Why are you explaining that to him? He's one of the best fighter pilots in the world. He already knows that." And I'm like, "Oh, that's right." All the dumb people in the audience might not know that, so you have to explain it to us.
Right.
There was a little bit of that going on, which I was like, "Why would one of the best fighter pilots in the Navy?" You have to say something like, "Oh, we have to get below their radar. They're going to be able like, duh, everybody knows that." I mean, come on, or whatever thing they were saying. That happened a couple of times where it was like a little bit ham-fisted on the dialogue delivery front. But like I say, it was a great movie. It was a good time. I'd highly recommend it if you're an American with a heart.
You know that dude.
If you're a commie pinko, then maybe this isn't the movie for you.
Not in my country. Oh my gosh!
There's
nothing more to say. That
That's right.
sums it all up.
That's all I have to say about that.
I'll give Tom Cruise credit, man. Whatever robotics he's got going on have really kept him going. He's
Yeah,
80
that bargain
80
with
years
the
old now?
devil that he made back in 1986 is really paying off.
No,
Yeah.
bargain with whatever the thing is.
Oh yeah, the
Zoltan or
alien.
whatever,
The alien.
Yeah.
Because it's
No disrespect for whatever he believes, but whatever he would make a deal with, that's who he made a deal with.
That's
Yeah.
right. The head alien. I don't know.
Oh, and who's the female lead in this one? She's drawing a
I'm
blank
sure
on
way
her.
younger and hotter.
No, you're right. Who was the chick
Yeah, I
with
know,
the
yeah.
red bikini in Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
I feel bad
What was her name?
I feel bad for Kelly McGillis.
Kelly McGillis is not in it. It's
I feel bad
I'm drawing
for
a blank on her name, but
Yeah,
she
they
was
bring
fine.
everybody else back, but they don't bring
Yeah.
her back because they're like, oh, she's not good looking anymore.
Yeah.
It's like we really do.
Nobody in the world has aged as well as Tom Cruise. Let's be honest.
Well,
they're
but
so
apparently they
mean
even
to
brought back
female
Val
actresses,
Kilmer.
man. They're so
Yeah.
mean to female actresses. It's kind of like, oh, we'll bring back the guy because when a man ages, he ages,
Oh, you just
dignified.
turned 30?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're done. Your career's over. You're 30. Like,
The Logan's Run. They send
Come back and see us
they send
yeah.
the carnival.
Come back and see us when you're Judi Dench.
Carousel. Oh, she looked beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it really is awful. If you're like a female actress, you got to be just like, you sons of. No wonder, man. That is pretty terrible.
They got a couple who have lasted.
Well, they got
Judi
Meryl
Dench.
Streep. Meryl
Meryl
Streep.
Judi Dench.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But I
let's
think
face it.
that's
If you're into the soft sort of roles, the secondary soft roles,
Yeah.
Jennifer
like in
Connelly. That's the
in
female
Top
lead.
Gun. I mean, they could have brought her
okay.
back just for a little kind of like woohoo,
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know,
I wonder how they're going to explain that away. They must have made all the
Well, they didn't bring
producers and
like
everything
Michael Ironside
female.
back and a couple of the other, like it wasn't an all nostalgia fest where it's like let's bring everybody back. You know what I mean? Val Kilmer's in it briefly.
yeah.
call it an extended cameo. That's all I can think of, really.
But I mean, that's what I'm
As
saying.
far as people that
They'll
were in the
bring back
original movie.
they'll bring back Val Kilmer, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And here the guy, they had to do a lot of work to get him there to be present.
A lot.
And here this woman, this actress, I'm sure they didn't have to do a whole heck of a lot, just a phone call her agent. Hey, would you wanna? Yes. It's just like, we just wanted to tell you we're making it and you're not part of it. Goodbye. I mean, this
Won't
is kind of
even
wrong.
mention you.
It's just kind of wrong, man. I mean, I gotta say, for all the bluster in Hollywood, they
what it's
still
like.
do the same old crap. Like,
You know what it's like? It's like they showed up and put the youngling helmet on her. And then froze her in carbonite.
that's right.
Yeah, that's rough.
Oh, that is
Man,
that is
Obi-Wan
pretty
keeps-
hard.
Obi-Wan keeps sneaking in there.
We keep sneaking in there. It's had such an impact in a negative way.
Oh, speaking of Val Kilmer,
Uh-huh.
he's supposed to make an appearance in Willow, the series on Disney.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
other thing I
With
wanted
Warwick
to
Davis,
talk
because I
about.
thought as soon as I saw the cast and I saw there's an awful lot of boxes checked there. I don't hear anything about
It's gonna be amazing. Shut
No,
up.
they're bringing him back.
but I heard he's supposed to be. I was like, I hope they
Yeah.
at least put the hand out to say, hey, would you like to make?
Yeah.
And it looks like they did. So
Yeah.
golf clap
Okay.
for them.
All right.
I'm on board.
Which,
If
by
that's
the way,
that's the case.
remember the dude, Call Me Chato or whatever. Remember, he said that's one of the things you do if you're,
Yeah.
doing that sort of reprising or that rebooting or something. You show
Yeah.
respect to the fans for that. Say, hey,
Yeah, and Mad Mardigan
we're
was an
honoring
awesome character.
Right. Yeah,
I
he
mean, Mad
was.
Mardigan was a lot of fun, and I
Yeah,
mean,
he
got
made that movie. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
he really
Yeah.
did, and you got to give him some kind of props in this movie. Otherwise, you introduce all these new characters, and that's fine. But I mean, it would be nice given not, and it looks like they're going to. So here's hoping that they do it the right way, and it's cool and it's fun.
And I'm really glad to see what's his name, the
Warwick
fellow who
Davis?
played- Yes, I'm so glad to see he's getting the opportunity to reprise that role and be able to be in a movie like that. Because you know what, a lot of people talk about representation. Where is that?
Yeah.
And
Right.
And you know
So
what?
I'm
George
just glad to
Lucas
see
definitely even brought him back for all the prequels too. I mean,
Yeah.
he was the freaking Rhodian. It's like, "Ooh, that dolo, Andy," and he looked horrible.
And in
But
the-
I mean, he
and,
looked strange. He looked like he was in a burlap bag. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
but
and
at
he
least
was
they.
Willow, and he was Willow in there in the stands.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was in
So-
there. Yep. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
in there
I'm
a
glad
couple
to see
times.
that. He was.
So I mean,
yeah.
it's like at least they have some kind of loyalty to the guy. I mean. But he's a nice dude. I mean, everything I've
Yeah.
ever seen, like with Ricky Gervais.
Gervais.
I always get his last name wrong. But Ricky Gervais, when they did his Pilkington, his buddy Pilkington, and would send him all kinds
Yeah.
of places. And of
Idiot
course,
abroad.
Warwick Davis was involved in all that. It's just like he was at one point. They send those two together, and it's just funny how Warwick's more positive, and Pilkington's more of a
He's
douche.
a doofus. He just is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! But yeah,
If you haven't
anyhow,
seen those, Mark, yeah, that was
they're
Their
a lot of fun.
podcast was great. Way back in the day when that was a novel. So,
Yeah,
all right.
All right.
Anything
Everyone
else
has a
you wanna
podcast
talk about,
nowadays.
guys?
It's ridiculous.
yeah. Any three idiots can do it.
Ugh.
Apparently,
Apparently,
That's right.
you just need the idiot.
and all you have to do is have 10 people that watch or listen to you.
Yeah,
That's right.
or thereabouts.
That's right. Question mark, profit.
We're rolling in the
We're
dough.
almost to the question mark part.
We only do this for the money.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And the groupies. What kind of a terrible groupie do you have to be if you're like a podcast groupie?
It's the saddest person in the world
Hopefully
that
one day,
like decides to
hopefully one day
follow
we'll
you.
find out.
Like
Yeah, we'll let you know.
yeah. 20 years from now, if we're still doing this, we'll let you know what it's like.
All right. Anything else you guys wanted to cover before
No,
we go
I
to
think
the
I'm good.
before we go to the talking afterwards, where we can actually curse and be impolitic and all of that. No.
I thought we were doing a fair job of that up until now, but okay.
All right,
All right,
guys.
I think that's it.
Thanks. I'll see
Bye.
you.
All right, guys. Bye.
This concludes our Speak Nerd and Enter broadcast.